So there is this member of provincial parliament named Rick Nicholls. I have never heard of them before. I can't imagine they've.
Rickles.
I can't imagine that they've done anything worth highlighting. But yeah, apparently they had to. They got removed from the Progressive Conservative Caucus. Now, what that means is the Progressive Conservatives are the ruling party in Ontario right now until the election that's set for next June, I believe. And so Doug Ford is the leader. He's the premier of Ontario, which would be like the governors of American states. And so Rick Nicholls is one of his MPPs, which is a member of provincial parliament. They would be like your local state senators or whatever. And I guess Doug Ford put out a statement saying that he's requiring his conservative MPPs to be vaccinated. Which, everything that you want to say about Doug Ford, I agree with this move. Okay? And I also want to say that this is in contrast with Aaron O'Toole, who refused to make sure that his candidates who are running in the federal election, O'Toole refused to say whether he was going to force his candidates to get vaccinated, and kept on saying like it's a personal choice, and but he highly recommends that people do it. So Doug Ford is taking a stand here, which I think is a good move, but obviously this is not a move that's big enough or cool enough to suggest that every other shitty thing that he's ever done is therefore exonerated and he's a cool dude. No, he's a shitty piece of shit, but at least when it comes to making sure that his MPPs are vaccinated, he's doing a good job, I guess. So this Rick Nicholls is the lone MPP who, when told to get vaccinated, was like, fuck you, and refuses to get vaccinated, and so now he's being kicked out of the Conservative caucus. Which means he's now an independent MPP. And next election, he'll have to run as an independent. But this is, I think, David Menzies. Yeah, David Menzies is going to report on it. So here we go.
David Menzies for Rebel News here at Queen's Park
The hat,
in
as
Toronto.
always.
Well, folks, bit of a bombshell press conference, albeit one that lasted barely 4 minutes. Namely, the MPP for Chatham-Kent, Rick Nicholls, is stepping down. Well, he has no choice. You see,
that's not too far from where we are either. I didn't know it was from Chatham-Kent, but BRB, I think the NDP are putting up our signs finally. Nice. Yeah, that's so Chatham-Kent, that's not too far away from where we are. I mean, I guess it's like an hour to the west, sort of.
In exactly 35 minutes, it will be 5 o'clock, and that was Premier Doug Ford's ultimatum of either you get vaxxed or you get out. And what Mr. Nicholls said is that it's a personal choice not to get vaccinated. So he's out of this building as a...
I mean, let's be fair. Like, so he goes, it's a personal choice not to get vaccinated. Well, it's a personal choice for Doug Ford as party leader to go get fucking vaccinated or you're not a party, you know? There you go. What about Doug Ford's personal choice?
A sitting Ontario PC MPP. He'll be yet another former MPP with the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party that will be sitting as an independent. Now, Mr. Nicholls didn't take any questions from any members of the media during that very brief press conference.
I will be expelled from the Ontario PC caucus if I do not vaccinate by 5 p.m. today.
I love he's just like signaling to the world, I am a disease spreader and I refuse to be forced into not spreading disease. Good for you, bud. He looks like a conservative too. Looks like a conservative. Can I interest you in some homeowner insurance?
Expulsion means leaving the government benches and may result in the loss of my office as Deputy Speaker. Now, over the past 10 years, I've always strived to do the right thing. For the last 18 months, I watched with great sadness not only the effect of COVID, but the remarkable health, mental impacts, and economic toll on our government's pandemic response. I watched members of my own family lose their entire livelihood and suffer tremendous toll to their mental health.
Then why not get vaccinated? I mean, like, what does this have to do with getting vaccinated? You know? Like, COVID is devastating. It cost my family to lose their jobs. They no longer have money. My family's completely poor. And that's why I refuse to get vaccinated, which could count towards mitigating and stopping the spread of this virus that has led to such devastation. I fucking hate these people.
I am curious about kind of the labor consequences of vaccination stuff, just like from like an employer access to your health records type of way. I don't know. Like the way that the unions and stuff are going about this in a very different way than this is interesting to say the least.
I'm to be honest, I'm kind of getting frustrated with the unions on this as well. Just it's like, in part because it's like, there's other things that we do that give employers access to certain kinds of information, some of which are good for health and safety things. And so it's like weird that this is the one point where all of a sudden we're drawing the line, all because there seems to be a contingent of anti-vaccine people that are really loud and annoying. Where it's like,
I don't know. I think it's difficult, right? Because like if you are employing somebody who for whatever reason can't get vaccinated, like do they then have to disclose that to their employer or whatever? And then also like similarly in terms of like people who are vaccine hesitant for more understandable reasons, for example, like how Indigenous people have been pretty large, you know, they've been medically experimented on. Like they're not trusting of the of public health measures a lot of the time, because generally that has meant that they've been like exposed to fucked up things. And like how do you, in that sense, like how do you differentiate between those? Or do you just like do a mass firing of kind of everybody for...
Yeah, I think there's better or worse ways of going about it. Like, I think, for one, I think I would prefer, like, it would be one thing if they weren't just blanket saying, like, we don't like this, don't do a mandate. It would be another if they were like, we would prefer some sort of, like, other accommodations for those who refuse for whatever reasons. The other thing that you could go through is some sort of, like, if you're worried about disclosing any like additional medical stuff, having like either working it out with the government or working it out with the union in some capacity to be given some sort of certificate from the government saying that rather than whether they're vaxxed or not vaxxed, that they've been cleared in some capacity, right? Which could mean that they're cleared from getting a vaccine, or they're cleared because they got the vaccine, so that all the employer receives is the information that they're clear. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that just is too much of a bureaucratic hurdle or something, but like there are ways that you could functionally do this. That
I don't know. Like it's difficult because at the end of the day, it is sort of at some level like submitting to the employer and acting like the employer will do this in any way good faith, which will never be the case, right? Like, so from a like labor perspective, I kind of get it. It's shitty, it's really difficult, but I think that the unions coming out against it right now, I think comes closer to opening the door for those sorts of negotiations so that it can be a bit more nuanced. because otherwise it'll just be the liberals mass firing public employees and then probably not replacing them either. Like, I don't know. It's a very difficult thing to get at, I guess.
I guess, like, for me, like, I at least understand the concerns that you're raising. I wish in some of the reporting on this, or even in some of, especially PSAC's press releases, if they actually think these things, I wish they would be more clear about it, because they haven't worded it the way that you have. But to the extent that I agree with you, the other part of me is like, it. I mean, there's levels of this because like our whole system is fucked because we exist in capitalism and employers suck and all this shit, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the issue.
But the
right?
other end of it is like we're in a global pandemic, so it's like I don't know. I'm just I get it, but at the same time, like obviously I'd rather we do it appropriately within the structures that we have. But like I can understand also being pro mandate to a certain extent. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I just wish everything was better.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, it has to be coming from any sort of mandate has to be it has to go through the unions, right? Like it has to go through
Well, that for sure.
some sort of representation for the workers. Otherwise, it is just the employer deciding that, oh yeah, suddenly, yes, we do in fact have access to your public health records and access to like whatever other bullshit. And it's kind of like that's a hard thing, especially when it's coming from the government, where it's like, I don't know, that's not something that I would trust employers to act in good faith with.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I can agree with that. But yeah, having something structured through the union, definitely, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
when it
And then
comes,
also,
to this asshole, like I don't really care for him.
yeah, exactly. Like it was entirely a side note.
Yes, yes.
I literally was just talking about this with a coworker because one of our coworkers were not sure if she is vaccinated, and like everybody else kind of like loudly and proudly booked off the day that they were getting their vaccine, and then the next few days afterwards, and like our employer gave us a vaccine bonus basically, and she took it but didn't book off a vaccine, and also said at various points that she wouldn't be getting the vaccine, and has now said that she's gotten the first one to our employer but not confirmed it or didn't book it off or didn't say anything about it. And she's also not good with her mask either, so it's just it's a complicated thing. The easiest way that we would probably get her to get vaccinated would be kind of workplace shaming. Like it would be if it were coming from us and not anywhere else. I think that that's kind of an easier way to do it. But also, I don't know. Like it's a difficult thing. Like how do you deal with that in terms of labor? Like
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. I mean, there's so much about this that kind of sucks in many ways in terms of labor, but also it's I don't know. I mean, there's many occupations in which you require people. So for example, when I was a research assistant for the University of Waterloo, I had to go to daycares to do research because I was doing childhood development research. Okay, and so a lot of my subjects that I was running these studies on, they were in daycares. Basically, that's where I would recruit them, and I was required to get a vaccination in order to be allowed to work at these daycares, and I had to show proof of vaccination, and I also had to get a TB test and show proof that I got the TB test and all this fun stuff. So part of me is there's tons of occupations in which these things are already mandated in a lot of ways because the government or health and safety realizes that you're working with a vulnerable community. In order to work with them, you need to have these things. So I wonder in terms of how they deal with the things that you are bringing up here with the vaccines we already have. with working in daycare spaces and how they deal with those things appropriately. And like my guess is there's mismanagement and problems there as well. But like I guess to me the
Yeah.
question is more like how to build in better protocols and safety measures to make people feel as safe as they can in terms of job security and other things. But yeah, I'm still on the front though of like I do think some health and safety regulations are important before I mean, like in the same way that you require people to wear safety helmets, you know.
Yeah.
It's but yes, I
Yeah,
think
no, like, it's difficult, right? Like it has to be backed up by something.
yeah.
Um, Also, side note, I had muted a little while ago because I don't know if you saw in chat,
Yeah, I saw in chat.
but they were hammering in the rebar for the big sign on the building, so it just like, really loud, and I had to run and make sure it was them putting up the sign and not something loud and scary happening on the street.
Was
It
it
was like echoing.
was it Maurice? Did you say hi to them?
I didn't see the person.
Okay.
Like the
Maurice
time I got out there was just a sign on the lawn.
Maurice is Dirka's partner, and he mostly does the signs. So I'm
I
supposed to be
mean,
helping
is it
with
the
that
same
too.
person who does it for my writing?
Oh no, right, I forgot that you're Shauna. My bad. That'll be completely different people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go back to listening to this asshole defend himself anyways. I mean, yeah, I think the
Woo.
conversation that we're having is very interesting and one that's important to have. But I am definitely, I mean, we've already said this, but I am definitely supportive of it being a political thing and mandating that your MPPs get in line. I am cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this? Are you guys
Well,
kidding me?
Hackerman 5001. Well, don't hack us, Hackerman.
I have voiced my concerns about our policy privately to the Premier and to the Ontario PC Caucus. But under no circumstances will I, nor should any Ontarian, be forced or coerced to do something against their will. To do so is an affront to the democratic principles of this magnificent institution. I will await word from the Premier's office, but in any event, I will continue to serve the people of the great riding of Chatham-Kent-Leamington, for there is no greater honor than to serve one's own community, province,
Crying.
and country. I will not be taking any questions. Thank you very much for your time today.
Didn't that sound like he was crying? He sounded like he was choking up.
I got fired.
Yeah. I want to...
I will await word from the Premier's office, but in any event, I will continue to serve the people of the great riding of Chatham-Kent-Leamington, for there is no greater honor than to serve one's own community, province, and country. I will not be taking any questions. Thank you very much for your time today.
We have
All because he refused to get vaccinated. Like, oh my
God.
God. Just get vaccinated, bud.
reached out to him. We're attempting to get a sit-down interview with Mr. Nicholls. Maybe we can do a deeper dive into why he's not getting vaccinated. Is it religious reasons?
Yes, I was gonna say he looks like a typical like 90s business villain. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy who's buying up the city block to and all the kids in the local impoverished neighborhood have to like band together to like raise funds to save like the community building. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the Canadian Parliament like watch channel?
What's that? Oh, CPAC?
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's weird
Like,
because
it's
CPAC
kind of
is
the
also
same vibes as
Republican,
that.
thing.
Yeah. Like it feels like even watching that, like all of it when it was live in Parliament, like it looks. I don't know how fucking old are those cameras.
No, I mean it was.
Like, they look ancient.
It was on CPAC, I think. Is that? No, it just says Ontario
Is it?
Parliament. I think it was initially screened on CPAC though. probably. But
Yeah, like
they
their
prob-
whole framing just seems so
part of,
old.
part of it too is because I think so. This is Queen's Park right here, the building that David Menzies is standing in front of. And in Queen's Park, my guess is they have like a press room with the cameras all set up to do those kinds of things, which is my guess is where he was when he filmed that thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, like
I'm not
is it
asking
just
for
like they haven't been
4K.
upgraded in 20 years?
Probably, yeah. You gotta
They're
save
just
the
using 90s
taxpayer money
cameras.
somewhere.
I wonder if they're still shooting on film so that they can save it for like the National Archives or whatever.
Yeah, there's probably some
They just
like legislation somewhere saying that they have to save the microfiche.
yeah, right? Like
I don't know. That's hilarious.
there's just a big room full of all of these announcements. They categorize them by like embarrassing resignation and
And Hackerman, no, Canada is not a real place. Serious answer. We are a fake country.
Canada is fake.
Yeah.
Dive into why he's not getting vaccinated. Is it religious reasons? Is it because medically he cannot have the vaccination? I think these are some important questions. And it also speaks.
I have to think that if he could not medically get the vaccine, Doug Ford, as much as I hate this man and I do not think he's a good person, I am certain that Doug Ford is not going to force one of his MPPs to get vaccinated if he has a like legitimate medical exemption. I have to say,
Yeah.
Doug Cheesecake Ford, yes. What we need is the cheesecake flag every time we see a Doug Ford. Yes, this is the late Rob Ford's brother and current Premier of Ontario.
Disturbingly, I think, of Premier Ford and this PC party. I mean, whatever happened to the idea of reasonable accommodation? Whatever happened to what the feminists have been proclaiming for decades now when it comes to the abortion debate, namely, my body, my choice? Well, it seems that saying is no longer in vogue. Just
So I actually had a relative fucking just friend request me on Facebook recently, and I had post a picture because I have a picture of my son back when he was born, and it was his birthday recently. So Facebook was like memory, and the image was taken a couple days after he was born, and I had just received in the mail this like a bumper sticker. I never put it on my card because I always found that shit tacky. But I got in the mail this sticker that was from a pro-vaccine group that I was a part of. And so I put it across my baby and was like, vaccinate your child as a joke. And had this picture of my son. And then I reflected on how I've always been pro-vaccine and how we need to be pushy about this because like we're at this point where like people need to get vaccinated right now, right? And I had the person that just friend requested me did this my body my choice argument, and then I immediately deleted that comment and unfriended them. I'm just like, nope. I let you in and now I'm
Wait,
letting
I
you
lie.
go.
Sorry. Yep.
What was that,
I'm
Vienna?
so glad I don't have Facebook during this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I typed out something to Hackerman and then realized that I had lied because I didn't read the full comment. No, we don't have any executives that aren't Queen's representatives, Hackerman. The equivalent of that to
Governor
us
General?
would be the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. And then we have the Governor General
Right.
of Canada, and they're all representatives of the Queen. The Premier is the head of the largest party in Parliament, basically.
In provincial parliament.
But they effectively act as the executive, kind of. They're just also
What is this?
part
Are
of
you guys
Parliament.
kidding me?
Strong Fish, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the follow. I hope that you are here to beat up all the weaker fish, as your name would imply. So,
No problem, Hacker Man.
I honestly find our political system at least a little bit easier to understand than the American one. Some of your
Really?
yeah, some of your civic stuff gets really complicated.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Eh,
Oh no.
we're not going to have a
Like,
civics off right now. But
No, I just mean like, our system is, if you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, billionaires will crush you. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward.
The video Hoser for Life sent is
oh god, yeah, okay, maybe
30
we'll,
questions
maybe we'll check that out.
factors hope
later.
you won't ask.
We'll
Yeah.
check that out
God.
later. I mean, the obvious rebuttal to the my body, my choice thing is you having an abortion does not affect me. You being vaxxed or unvaxxed does affect me. And so I care about that in terms of public health. Whereas I do not care about abortion in terms of public health. You know. I mean, your body, your choice to go speeding, right? You know, how dare I come in there and tell you what to do with your feet when you're driving in a car as like you push your foot to the floor and like hyper accelerate on a highway and go way above the speed limit, okay? Your body, your choice.
Can you
How
imagine?
dare I ever get involved in what you do with your body, except for the fact that if you go speeding, you're more liable to crash your car and kill other people, which is why we have traffic laws.
Can you imagine if we were just coming up with seatbelt or drunk driving laws now? How bad the discourse would be?
Oh yeah, no, I mean the discourse for seatbelts was terrible back in the 70s when they started implementing it.
Yeah.
Libertarians were coming out of the woodwork freaking out about it. And like look how we all wear seatbelts now. Don't care. Like these things are always so annoying. Yes, they would say that Hoser for life.
If
but I
you're
think
wearing a
that it is-
seatbelt, why are you so concerned about me not wearing mine?
Maybe it's because people don't want you to shoot out of your car like a missile and kill people. Oh, dear
Although,
Lord.
maybe I do want them to do that.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
Says Mr. Nicholls, he is now not a member of the Ontario PC party. There
Goodbye.
is zero tolerance for those not getting vaccinated.
Look at how
I
sad he
wonder
is.
if this is something that will affect this party come next year when the Ontario election kicks off. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.
All right. Marjorie Taylor Greene would be driving around DC right now, blindfolded, chugging tequila if we were debating drinking and driving and seatbelt laws right now. For sure.
She would
For
probably kill less
sure.
people doing that, though.
Because she would die earlier and we wouldn't have to listen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, there's only so many people you can hit with your car before you
Lord.
also die.
All right.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.